Right on, ladies and gentlemen, dear viewers and loved subscribers. We are back with episode number 5 of KSP to Mars, and so far it's not going so well. We haven't in fact even left the planet yet. We have sampled space, but nothing much else. And either this is because I don't build the rockets big enough, or because I don't have the parts to build them big enough. Obviously money is not a constraint in this program, but the controllability of rockets certainly is. If I make something horrendously big, it's hard to control because I have very few parts with control authority. And that's what we're focusing on this episode. If I manage to reach a biome that has hitherto been unexplored, I'm going to aim for these mountains here, I will be able to harvest sufficient science to unlock reaction wheels and steerable wings. That in turn should allow me to make a massive rocket and still control it. This rocket is an upgrade from the last episode. It's still the biome exploration missile, but it's Mark II, and instead of just the 4 solid boosters, it now has 4 liquid boosters and 4 solid boosters. Will this explode, or will this serve to thrive and research and propel Kerbal into the future, like blah blah and so on? Look, Jebediah's happy, and we're going to go ahead and launch. Ooh, everything is flexing and wobbling. That does not look promising. Fortunately, all we have to do is engage the stability system once we pitch over, and then just cross our fingers and sit back. That's what Jebediah is doing anyway. We are pitched over 45 degrees, and this vessel has more thrust to weight ratio than it knows what to do with, so we're going to leave it at that. As soon as these solid boosters run out, which should be soon, I should hopefully have a little bit more control, and things will look a little bit less precarious. We are pitching over more than I would want already, but I'm afraid to divert too far from the prograde heading because our angle of attack will be so large that we will flip over, explode and die, which is of course something we don't want. All this talking is causing me to forget to ditch the boosters, but there they go, not going to crash on the space center but rather right next to it. We are still accelerating, we are still rising, we are still happy and looking good. Now what I didn't do, I didn't glue these outer boosters to the main stack. They are shorter and they use engines that burn their fuel faster. So they will run out before the main stack does, and at that point they will be jettisoned. Now, in the previous episode, this center stack had a lot of trouble getting anywhere on its own. This time, I hope that will not be the case, because it will be a lot lighter because all the fuel will have been burnt. We are still not going very fast though, and we are still not projected to get anywhere either. And I have no idea what's happening. We are heading away from the ocean, but if I look at the map view, we have our apoapsis, which is still rising, but we're going away from it. So I don't know what that's about, but that doesn't matter. We are still going up, still accelerating, still going fast, and aiming for those mountains on the horizon. Will we make it? I have absolutely no idea, but we're heading away from the shores, and so far that's the only biome we have sampled, so hopefully we will at least get away from that. So, ditching these boosters, and we're now rapidly slowing down because this one engine is not sufficient to keep pushing away the air, which is still rather thick at the altitude of 17 kilometers that we are at. Is this a good flight profile? I have no idea, but this rocket does not have the punch to go straight up and then turn over, or at least I don't think it does. Evidently, this real solar system malarkey is causing me to have to relearn fairly basic things, and that's never a bad thing. Feel free to go ahead in the comments to tell me how utterly wrong I am and how easy it is to build a rocket that does all of this. And then, if you're right, I will shrug my shoulders and say thanks for enlightening me, internet person. And I will proceed to build the rocket you described. Otherwise, if you haven't played around with the Real Solar System mod yet, I recommend it. It's changing up the game, and it is, well, it's fun. I had the most fun with this game when I was first trying to get into orbit, and I'm doing that again, so it's nothing but greatness there. So this stage is now burning out. We are in fact losing altitude again. That can't be the idea. So we're Going to angle this exploration craft upwards. And if you watched the previous episode, you know that we still don't have a goo reading, or a materials reading for that matter, from the upper atmosphere. So we could get that now. No, we can't, because we are plummeting already. So in that case, I'm just going to point towards the horizon and burn for all my rocket is worth. We want to get away from the coast. And, well, I already said it, we want to get away from the coast. So there we go. There we go indeed. If we do get to a different biome, I'm going to launch this ship again, but that time just point it straight up. See if we can sample space with our materials bay, which we have not done yet, and sample the upper atmosphere with the materials bay and the goo canister. Going to space though is fairly hazardous because it entails high risk of burning up on re-entry. So far we have lost one pilot to that, Jebediah, who has reincarnated, and we have lost many an experiment that are mounted on the outside of the ship and are prone to burn off first. That are all considerations for the next launch though. For now we are just about to land here, and I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that this will count as a different biome than the shores, because I'm putting a lot less distance between us and the KSC than I was planning. I don't know why that is. Possibly because we're angling over far too soon and wasting all our energy against the atmosphere. Maybe I should go up to about 10 kilometers first and then angle over. That's what I'm going to try next time at any rate. Perhaps we can make the space launch coincide with a ballistic missile approach, where we first get up into space, give it a gentle nudge in a direction, and then see where that ends up. Anyway, about to land, keeping my fingers crossed for hitting a different biome. That's what the name of the game is today. So, rocket is burning out. Let's deploy the parachutes and our landing legs and proceed to time warp to... No, that's not quite time warp yet. I have a feeling we are close to parachute deployment. And as you probably know, deploying a parachute while you're in time warp is a bad idea, because that will rip your spacecraft apart. Well, we have reached an area of some elevation at least. The ground is at 500-600 meters here. Not the zero, it is next to the sea. And indeed, we can't really see the ocean anywhere. So here's hoping that this does not count as a shore. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, landing. There we are, observing the materials bay. No, damn it, it still counts as shore. Right, that means we get almost 0 science for this, and we are going to try and have Jebediah take a surface sample, which has hardly any value as well. So I'm going to recover that. Grumble, grumble. Unhappy, not enough science to unlock the control parts that I want. Heading into the tracking station to get this one recovered as well. Recover, recover. We have 42, we need 45. So that is painful. That is definitely a painful moment for the space program. They just don't know enough. They don't know enough. We're not going to send Jebediah again. This time it's up to Fredbury to fly in the Prometheus. Oh no, in the Biome Exploration Missile. All these ships have the same performance characteristics. They go up and they come down, and they never really get anywhere. So the Arcturus, the Prometheus, or the Biome Exploration Missile, I think come next episode they will all be scrapped. Anyway, for this flight we are going to point straight up and not touch the controls until we are seeing interesting things. We need the materials-based study from space, and we need to hit a new biome. We really want that. But course, if we don't, what I meaning to say is the biggest challenge in this flight is surviving the re-entry furnace. And if we do that, then we hope to hit a new biome. This space program, man, it's really something. Let's have a look. There you go. The stability system is wobbling the ship apart. I'm considering, I hope that soon, at least, yeah, I hope soon when we get to orbit, and we might be able to do a moon flyby or two. Although that is also a lot more difficult than it is in the game, because of course the moon is at a realistic distance to, well, as compared to our own moon, which is far. The KSP moon is very, very close indeed. So, well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but what I'm hoping is that when we get a lot of science, we will get into the KSP Interstellar treasure trove of toys and get to play around with nuclear reactors, space stations that generate science, radiation, radiators that we will need to bleed our heat from the spacecraft. I am predicting many a casualty, many a lost ship due to unforeseen consequences of hitherto unknown variables, all of them added to the game by myself without actually checking what they do. So whether or not that was smart we can talk about later, but first let's see how we get on here. It does seem to be smart to point up before going sideways. We knew this already, of course, but in the stock game the atmosphere is so thin that you basically only need to go up for about 1 kilometer or 2 and then pitch over. Now, this is not true in the real solar system, and therefore it's also not true in this iteration of the game. Now I'm feeling hopeful. I'm going to pitch over 45 degrees, heading due for those mountains over there, and I might just be able to make it. This is what the biome exploration missile was intended for. We are actually finally leaving behind the yoke of the Kerbal Space Center. We're not going too fast, that means we will not be facing horrible re-entry heat, but we are going high, so let's... Ooh, the mountains have disappeared from view, so that makes it difficult to see where they are. Yes, rocket scientists here. The mountains have disappeared from view, making it very difficult to see where they are. Nice. Anyway, we are up in space, believe it or not. The biome exploration missile has done it. Are we actually going really high? No, we're not going really high. We are going about 160 kilometers, and we might just make it to the mountains. Isn't that wonderful? So this rocket is about to burn out, and then we are going to observe one of the materials bays to give us some idea of how they behave in space. So material study while in space near Kerbin, amazing. This gives us 25 science, so I'm going to keep that data. And once we're over the mountains, I'm going to do that again and hopefully get different data from space, granting us all the science. Look at that. This one, we already knew this one. This is where this rocket shines. We are in space, so it's at full efficiency, at 390 seconds of specific impulse. Much better than the rockets that we used to get off the ground in the first place. Now, of course, there's no question we will not be making orbit. No way. Look at that. This planet is huge. Huge. So we're not going to make orbit, but hopefully we can use this biome exploration missile to do just that and explore some biomes. So I want to angle north, so that we angle north. What the hell? No, I'm doing it all wrong. I'm doing it all wrong. That's what I want to do. Is here is north. 180 degrees is not north. North is 0 or 360. Idiot. Just yelling at myself for not understanding the compass. No worries there. I'm going to angle north to put us slapdash in the middle of those mountains. And the challenge now becomes to not burn up upon re-entry of this suborbital flight. The speeds involved are similar to re-entry from a orbit or lunar flight in the stock game, and that so far has always worked out, so I'm not too worried. I am mostly worried for these goo canisters. The materials based, they should be alright, and as long as one of the parachutes also is alright, then everything should be fine and dandy. So we're actually falling already, which is nice. Jebediah is not actually experienced any time of weightlessness because of course the engine has been firing the whole time. That kind of puts a damper on that whole 0G spectacle. We are still accelerating, or well, we're accelerating once more. We are now accelerating due to the pull of gravity. What is this? Well, it's just a rod that's used by the engine. A rod or a fuel tank or a compression chamber or something like that. Saying goodbye to the sweet beckoning of space. We will be back, and we will be back to stay, hopefully, with the science to unlock the control parts that we will need to control a massive, massive rocket. That's my hope and dream, and I'm going to work very hard indeed to make it happen. So, preparing for re-entry. The goo canisters on this mission are very much expendable, so we're just going to point the ass end of the rocket into what will soon become the frighteningly hot airflow. The shield will hopefully shield, well, I don't need to explain that. The shield will hopefully shield us. There we go. And there's really not a lot more to say about this otherwise that to keep our fingers crossed and wait and see until our good friend Jebediah either dies and burns and screams or lands and screams. He will scream regardless, is what I'm saying basically. He is of that screamy disposition. So we're at 2300 meters per second now. This is what I was saying about between Kerbin orbit and Kerbin lunar return. We are, however, entering fairly steep. So I think Jebediah, he will be fine regardless, because even if all this burns off, he has an extra personal heat shield, if you will. But I would much prefer the experiments be fine as well. Oh, maybe we can get a material study from the upper atmosphere, and maybe we can get a goo from the upper atmosphere as well. Yes, keep that. That of course means we are not getting, oh shit, we are overheating. Turn around, we are barbecuing, turn around and save everything. We aren't even slowing down, we are getting barbecued, holy sh... Yeah, we got one tantalizing glimpse from... Oh dear. We got one tantalizing glimpse from all that science from the upper atmosphere. And then it was all taken away from us because it was burned away to a crisp. Fortunately, we do have one parachute remaining, which I'm going to deploy now, so that Jebediah may survive. We are definitely in a new biome, and that means that we can at least get crew reports, EVA reports, and all that good stuff. Oh, all the antennae burned off as well. So that is going to have to be recovered. Oh man, I wonder what went wrong, because this heat shield was completely fine. And the heat shield I put on the bottom of the craft most certainly wasn't. It's... ooh, that parachute is spazzing out. Maybe it was attached upside down. It's always a bit tricky with these heat shields. Which way actually is the heat shield? Now, if I release the stability system, the parachute is fine. So I'm going to flip that around for further attempts. I'm going to leave the goo canisters at home, I think, because they will burn off anyway. And that does present a problem, like how do we get back from space safely with anything else but a capsule? I'm assuming there is bigger heat shields in the tech tree somewhere, but oh, I don't want to overwrite the crew report. Oh, don't be mean. I want a crew report from the landing site as well. Landed flying over the mountains. Well, I'm going to keep that. And I'm going to pop on out, get an EVA report from here. Flying over Kerbin's mountains. Great. Keep the data. Board again, and then get back out because we're not flying, we're landed. Give me an... Ooh, it's a soggy mountain. This is the real solar system at work again. From Kerbin's mountains, 2.4 science. Great. Keep that data. Take a surface sample, 9 science. Great. Keep that data and plant the flag. Will that flag stick out over the burnt soil? That's the question, of course. Yes, it does. All my science. Burnt. Unhappy smiley. Damn it. Right on, Jebediah. Be recovered. And then head on over to the vehicle assembly building. No, not the vehicle assembly building. The tracking station to recover your craft. There, recovered away. 63 science points. And the problem of how to get anything indeed back to the planet has not been solved. Fortunately, our astronauts, they do tend to survive the incineration of their craft because the pod is shielded, but any experiments, I would much prefer to take them home with me as well. Anyway, we're going to research these things: unmanned probes, reaction wheels, and wings. They should enable larger rockets. So research that, and that gives us more wings, more control, and of course the power parts. Anyway, that was well enough. Jesus, I can't talk anymore. That was enough for today. Come back for the next episode where we will be launching an unmanned space missile, hopefully replete with heat shields that might make it to orbit. Or anyway, yes, I'm going to go for an unmanned orbiter that doesn't have to come back, and then it can transmit its findings home. So come back for that in the next episode. I'm Lorenzo. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, subscribe, like, or comment. Anyway, see you next time.